Okay, it's time to continue with another Battle Avionic. This time we're going to be looking at one of the two that I actually haven't talked about yet, surprisingly enough. So we're going to be looking at Particle Ram. So Particle Ram is a Battle Avionic that exists in Railjack. It is actually, I would argue, a rather common Battle Avionic in the sense that by the time you reach the Veil, you should probably already have it because there are a lot of enemies that drop it. So here is Particle Ram. The idea is that you deploy a Particle Ram that deals 1,500 damage per second while moving forward. If you are using a vector maneuver, it actually deals 2,250 damage. So what that means is that if you're boosting, you actually do more damage with the Particle Ram. You can deactivate the Particle Ram, i.e. actually press 2 again. That will then shoot the Particle Ram out in a forward direction, which then goes for 4 seconds. It lasts for 4 seconds while it's going in that forward direction, and any enemy that it hits will deal 3,000 damage. So here's the thing, with Railjack Revisited, Particle Ram actually went through a couple of changes. The main change is the fact that you do more damage when you are vector maneuvering and when you actually throw the Particle Ram out. It used to be this idea that you would never really want to shoot the Particle Ram out because it would just be a complete waste of energy. You instead want to actually use that energy for something like Void Hole, Single Volley, etc, etc. But now that deactivating the Particle Ram actually deals double damage, and with the fact that, at least for the time being, Particle Ram being a rather strong ability against rather weak enemies in Railjack, throwing out the Particle Ram is probably a good idea. So here we are in free space, and Particle Ram, being an offensive Battle Avionic, can be activated by pressing the 2 button. So when we jump outside our ship, this is what it is going to look like. It actually looks like a gigantic ram that sort of spreads out in front of your ship like so. So that's what the Particle Ram looks like from the outside. So that is, of course, really useful. Otherwise, gameplay wise, the idea is to just basically move around with your Particle Ram out in front. You do need to keep a forward momentum for this to actually activate. So right now it is in a sort of semi-deactivated state where it actually won't do any damage, but when you move forward like so, you can see that the Particle Ram actually brights up, and that means that you are actually going to be doing damage to any enemy fighter that actually hits that Particle Ram. To do a vector maneuver is to just simply hold down boost or something like that. So, like so, this should result in extra damage being dealt. However, when you actually shoot out the Particle Ram like so, it will then fly out in a forward direction, which will then expire after 4 seconds. And that kind of means that something like Particle Ram is really effective with something like Void Hole. These days, I tend to use Particle Ram over something like Shadow Burst when I couple it with Void Hole, simply because you can actually do a combo like so. So you can fire out the Void Hole, activate the Particle Ram, and let's say there's a bunch of enemy fighters caught in there. You just fire out the Particle Ram into the Void Hole, and those enemies will blow up because enemy fighters are typically a lot weaker than they used to be. Otherwise, unless you actually want to do that, I tend to actually keep the Particle Ram on the ship. I don't really fire the Particle Ram out in that context. So if I'm, for example, using something like Single Volley, I don't really feel the need to throw out the Particle Ram. But otherwise, generally speaking, Particle Ram is probably the strongest, if not the actual strongest, even stronger than Tether, I would argue, offensive Battle Avionic that exists in the game. Although some people do still argue that something like Tether is better for those kinds of speedruns. So it's really just something that you can choose from. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. So let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. How do you use Particle Ram? Do you actually just keep it on your ship as per usual, or do you actually make use, especially of that firing mechanic, to do double damage? Let me know in those comments. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more WarFrame content, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.